name is Sara Merry. I've been doing hair for 26 years. I don't like being told what to do, and that's pretty much behind this whole thing. But it's a people business, you know. If you're looking at something like I'm gonna make lots of money, blah blah blah, that's not the way to go about it. You just gotta have faith in yourself, and that was hard. That was hard because there was a lot of people telling me, "What are you doing? It's 2020. Why are you opening up a business? Are you insane?" I'm always here, but I love it. You know, it's not something I dread. I used to dread going to work, but that's because I wasn't inspired. It's willpower. Like, you know, people aren't in your shoes. They don't know what you're going through. They don't know where you've been. They don't know how hard you've tried to get to the point where you're at. You can't listen to them. You can't listen to anyone. Nobody knows what they're doing. No one. And if you fail at something, so what? At least you're trying, right? Take the risk. Just freaking do it. Just do it. If you feel passionate about it, you can't fail.
Everybody, hello. Welcome to another episode of Step into Success podcast. Our guest today is Sara Merry. She owns West End Studio. And Sara, thanks for joining. Looking forward to the conversation. If you could just provide us with an introduction and a little bit of a background.
Yeah, my name is Sara Merry. I've been doing hair for 26 years, and I guess I kind of came up with the idea I needed to open up my own place during 2020 when we were shut down. I don't like being told what to do, and that's pretty much behind this whole thing. I have a lot of ideas and a lot of different ways that I wanted to help people in this industry. I think that's the main thing with business. If you go into it thinking you're going to make money, you're going to fail. I feel like helping people is where it's at. So I saw a lot of need especially in the Erie area, for younger girls coming out of school, looking for somewhere to go that wasn't like kind of, I don't know, your typical get them in, get them out, do things this way. It's a very artistic industry. And I feel like that was getting lost in, making money. And I didn't like it. So I think the girls that we have here now, they're really happy. They have freedom to do what they want to do in the artistic sense. And I think that's super important.
I love that. That's awesome. So bringing the art kind of back to the craft rather than just, following a formula. That's awesome to hear. So that was kind of what inspired you. You said you opened in 2020, a little bit of a tough time to open. What's 2021? Okay.
So 2021, I opened. I couldn't open in 2020 or I would, but that was the whole, when we were shut down, and I had a lot of time to think and look at different stuff. So it was a lot of like, where am I going? I've been doing this for 20 something years. What now? And this was the only logical step, was to open up my own place. But also I felt like I really wanted to help these kids coming out of school. I feel like things are changing. Girls are changing, things. You can't tell them to get up at 8 o'clock in the morning anymore. They don't want to. They don't. So it's like, the freedom to kind of do what you want to do, but also, make some money and help your family. I think that's huge. If they feel like they can contribute and, they have no problem paying their bills, and, that's huge. So I don't know. I just felt like there was a need.
So you had kind of mentioned you don't like people telling you what to do. Is that part of also what helped you kind of take that step into being your own business owner?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can ask my old boss, and I love her. She's like family to me, but she has always been, with Sara, it's like, I can't, she's going to do what she wants to do. But I also was busy and I was making her money. So it was fine for her. And I followed the rules, but I also had a passion for it. So I think being told what to do, I don't know. Maybe that's too big of a, I think I just had some ideas that I really needed to. I felt like I needed to do them, or else I was going to waste all this time, like, I don't know. You can ask her. I'm pretty strong-willed. So, but she gave me the freedom to do what I wanted to do, which that's what I wanted to give to other people too. So I hope she watches this because I love her to death.
So you said, so the couple things I want to ask you about. For one, you said you were doing hair for 20 years, and then you obviously have now opened your own place. Did you always in the back of your mind want to be a business owner, or was it just a perfect opportunity?
It did not appeal to me. I didn't want any of that responsibility. The whole, especially the accounting and the financial aspect and just kind of watching, like I said, with the place I was at, watching them go through all that stuff, I was like, I want to be in there. I want to talk to people, make them feel good, do the art stuff. But I was very lucky. I have a lot of clients that know what they're doing and they helped me out. So they were all willing to go on this with me. And Lainey and Rick too, like they were starting doing their website stuff. And I'm like, all right, let's put something together, So my clients have helped me get here as well, as far more than just doing their hair. I've got lawyers and doctors and, everybody, and we're all family, it feels like. So yeah, that was big. They're like,
Got
Sarah,
it.
we can, yeah.
Okay. And a couple times now you've mentioned that part of, what you wanted to do with your business is help young girls, or, what exactly is it that your studio is doing that's maybe a little different than other hair studios to help young girls?
So during my interviewing process, trying to recruit some people, at first it was hard because I just opened up and they're like, yeah, it's just you. Um, but then as I started talking to more people, we're talking, young kids in their 20s, and they would be working at the hair salon, and they're like, I would go home crying every day because it was like, super oppressive. The rules are ridiculous. And there's a little bit of a culture with women, which sucks, but it's a little bit of a competitive, not, I don't want to say completely mean girl vibe, but there are some places that are like that. And it's stupid. It's so dumb. It doesn't help anyone, And I think too, when you walk into a place, you can get the vibe for that as well. Like you can feel the energy in the room. And when you walk into any business, and you can feel if it's a good positive energy or not. And I think that that's what I wanted to create. The clients can tell. They love it here. It's relaxing, it's calm. The girls are great. They're happy. And that's huge. You don't want to go home crying every night. That's stupid. I don't know. I got sick of hearing that. Yeah.
So can you talk to us a little bit more about how you went from just kind of being on your own, so working in another salon, deciding to open your own salon, just you to start, and then bringing on your teammates or the other stylists? How did that transition kind of look for you?
That's one of those things where you just have to have faith in yourself and know that what you want to put out there is going to attract that positive energy back. And I was scared to death. I rented this huge space. I watched every single business, make sure the location is good, make sure you decorate or appeal to a certain type of people. And, I really, really put the work into kind of like gathering all that information and, being behind the chair by myself in this. You've been here. It's kind of a bigger space, and it was just me. It was literally just me and Paige who just got out of hair school. And it was funny because I had done her hair since she was a little girl, and for some reason she had faith in me. She came and she started working here, and I've watched that kid grow. And that's the best thing about this is, like, it's been 2 years. She's got a clientele now. She's doing what she wants to do and she's happy, and to see people grow in that way, and just being I don't know, giving them confidence to do that. But the whole interview process, people coming in here, that was just, like I said, I'm hoping the universe gives back to what I'm putting out. So I had, one girl, she looked us up on Instagram. She's like, I just like your pictures. And that's great because that's what, you put a lot of effort into aesthetics and that's how you want it to look. So for her to be attracted to that, so she started working here. And then I have, and then I started gathering more, but they're all in their, most of them are in their 20s. So it's like, I'm an old mom now in here with all these kids. So, but I think when you start putting that out there, when you start even in your social media posts, like that positive vibe, I think you just got to have faith in yourself. And that was hard. That was hard because there was a lot of people telling me, what are you doing? It's 2020. Why are you opening up a business? Are you insane? Yeah, I am. I don't know. I just knew I had to do it.
Well, I think there, has to be a certain amount of insanity. I mean it in a good way, to be bold and to take those risks. And like, the old saying goes, no risk, no reward, right? So when it comes to actually opening the business itself, did you just have money saved up that you used? Did you go and try to take out a small business loan? Can you tell us about that part of the process?
That's fun because I as soon as I got it in my head, I started saving as much money as I possibly could. But I also, like I said, I got some really great clients and friends that, they saw, and I think they saw my potential. Thank God. I mean, and they believed in me. So I did have my one good friend. She's like, Sarah, I got the money. Her grandmother had left her some inheritance money, and she's like, I'm gonna invest in you. And so I paid that girl off in 2 months. I was like,
Wow.
I wanted to be, and now, she's one of she's in business as well. So it was pretty awesome. Like I'm a very, I don't want to say, I guess, blessed person that, people, like I said, if you put that energy out there, it comes back. Honestly, it really does. I truly believe in that. But I didn't want to take out a business loan. I just wanted to do it and pay it off, I think. And that it's really hard to find a bank to invest in you when you're first starting out. If you don't have your business, I couldn't get a loan actually until this past year because I've been in business for 2 years. So it takes, yeah, it takes some time to build that up because they don't have faith in you yet. And then, so hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah. So finding a good network of people that can support your vision and believe in you to do it definitely sounds like it helped kind of get you launched. And now you've got that social proof. So if you wanted to expand, now you could, but you're also kind of, seems like you're rolling on your own pretty fine. Yeah.
And then, you got to invest back in yourself. You can't be complacent and be like, okay, I open up my salon, I'm done. Where I'm constantly thinking, you can ask these girls are like, would you just chill? Like do want to expand. I do want to do more stuff with it, but you've got to put your money back. If you want it to grow, you got to put it right back in. And, you know, um, that's something I've learned too. You can't be complacent. You can't just rest on, okay, we're good. That's not how the world works. And people watch and people take notice. And if they see you growing, then more people come to you. If you're just starting out, they're like, yeah, you're crazy. I'm not helping you. So it kind of like it's a snowball effect, if that makes sense. Like I've noticed like more people, oh, Sarah, you're doing, it's kind of annoying too, because it's like I knew I could do this, but it took me getting to here for people to believe in me, which that's fine. I believed in myself, so it was all good.
Yeah,
I
I
hope
think
I'm
that's
making
important.
sense. I feel like sometimes I get off on tangents.
No, this is great.
Perfect. So I want to ask you something about the actual studio that you're in yourself. So for anybody watching this, you can see for yourself, anybody listening to it, on like Spotify or whatever, you have this beautiful, like very aesthetic, like black background with the cool lights and the leather chairs and all that looks really great. Did you get all of that set up before you started seeing clients, or did you go through a period where you were bringing clients into a non-finished environment? Like, what was that like? How long did it take you to get the actual space set up to look the way you wanted it to look?
That's a good question. I could only afford so much, so I bought what I could afford to buy. I had this sign back here. I was so excited about it. I had a vinyl. I don't know if you saw one of our original pictures. It was a vinyl, like one of those fat head things. And I had that, and I was able to replace it with this. And it's scary because you're not used to spending it. But if you invest back in yourself, then it comes back to you. The chairs here, I only had four at first. Yeah, I mean, you have to, like I said, you got to invest back in yourself and, grow that way. And Yeah, I had it all in my basement. My basement was filled with all of these boxes, and I just gradually did as much as I could as I went. I really, really, really um nickeled and dimed to get to this point. I couldn't just go out and do it all at once. So that was, and the fit out for this building, because when you go into a plaza type situation, you've got to pay for the fit out, and that's scary. It's a lot of money when they have to put up drywall and flooring, and like I said, I was able to pay it off in 2 months from my friend. Thank God she saw my vision too. So, but yeah, I started out with like 4 chairs. Now I have 7. I'd like to have more. We're doing really well. So we'll see. We'll see if we can get there. I think we will.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. So how long was it from when you left the salon that you were working at until you officially started seeing customers at your now West End hair studio, your own personal salon?
One day I was in I couldn't take off. You have to keep, I was the only person working and opening up. So I left, packed up the U-Haul, came here, set up what I could, and then I was taking clients actually an hour after, because you have to have inspectors come and do all that stuff. So it was an hour after our cosmetology inspector came and gave me the go ahead that I started having people in my chair. So I was like, waste no time. You can't really waste any time, because there's, especially when you're by yourself and you're doing it all alone. So it was tiring. Yeah.
Yeah, I bet. And I feel like when you first started, if I remember correctly, I mean, you were working some pretty long hours. Can you kind of talk to us about you still do, even having a huge team now? Talk to us about that.
It's not just, I do it, but I love it. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm in here, I'll pop in here. The girls will work on days that I don't, and I'll pop in here and just make sure everything's going okay. I make sure to ask them, if they need anything, because essentially I'm working for them. I got to make sure that they have what they need. They're happy. I'm constantly, like, we had a business meeting at one of our local breweries, and I said, write down ideas you want to do for the new year, because these girls, they're younger than I am. They know what's cool, and I want to know what, I want to pick their brains. So yeah, I'm always here, but I love it. It's not something I dread. I used to dread going to work, but that's because I wasn't inspired, and now I'm inspired by it. So for me, it's fun. I don't know if that helps. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that some of that inspiration kind of comes from being able to iterate on your own ideas rather than just kind of contributing to somebody else's vision?
Absolutely. Yes. But it's not just my vision now. I've given it up to, you know, I like to hear their feedback, and, I started out, um, but for me, it feels good to help them get to where they want to be. Whatever they need, I'm here for them. But yeah, what was the original question?
Just how, like, the inspiration that you feel, if that is, if you think that that's because you're able to iterate on your ideas versus just kind of going in and contributing to somebody else's vision.
Yeah, I don't really have a lot of I don't really have a lot of what's the word I want to use? Experience with that, other than working at the one. I only worked at one hair salon for 20 years,
Oh, wow.
but and for us, it was like they were my family. Yeah, I worked at one salon for a short amount of time. But I think it's because it was uninspiring. But I worked with these girls who genuinely, it was a family. It was 3 sisters, and they took me on as one of theirs. So we all helped each other grow in that way. The uninspiring thing, I think, I saw that the industry was changing, and we really weren't where we were, but it was okay because they were doing well. But I felt like I could do something, not better, but just, a little bit more updated, and, because this, it's constantly changing, and we were kind of stuck. where we were, but they were fine where they're at. I mean, they're in their 60s now, so, and I'm 45. I'm like, God, I got like 20 more years to go. What am I gonna do? So that's why uninspiring. Yeah, you do. You go to work every day. And sometimes you're like, I don't feel like it. But now that I love it and I see these girls, growing, it's definitely makes a huge difference. I mean, what else is there? You help people. That's
Yeah, that's good. I saw this really interesting post on LinkedIn just a couple days ago that said the most dangerous words in business are "we have always done it this way."
Oh.
And it sounds like you do a great job of keeping it fresh and keeping it up to date. Is that because you feel like when you were at that other salon, you weren't allowed to implement your ideas and your creativity? So now you really want to make sure that the people working for you have that opportunity? Or what is it that makes you want to give so much, opportunity to the people that work for you?
um so it wasn't that it wasn't we came up with the ideas, but I think when you step back and you really look at it, like when we were shut down and I kind of looked at the situation I was in, it wasn't mine. It wasn't something that I had built. I'd helped build it, but it wasn't mine. And I just felt like I could make something my own. And so that's why I did this. When you have 4 months to sit around and think about like, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? It was weird because it was like the world shut down. And so you're like, and then, going to work every day, it was like, well, I guess, the rat race. Now I'm forced to sit here and really reflect and think about what the heck am I doing with my life? And then I started getting inspired, like we could do things this way. I could see us, it just like with hair extensions and, there's so much out there and it's constantly changing. I felt like inspired, I don't know, inspired by my own wanting to grow. So yeah. And then I don't know. That was me. When you literally are forced to like sit and do nothing for 4 months, that's a big, you know, kind of I don't know.
A little bit of like almost a personal awakening that then you're able to kind of infuse into.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. When you have that time, a lot of people, I didn't, a lot of people still had to go to work every day. And, you don't get the time to sit there and go, what am I going to do with my life and where am I going and what's my purpose and all that other stuff. And we were forced to, for some reason, because we were so close to people during, and it was, this crazy virus, who would have thought that would ever happen? But, some people just went right back to work. It's like when you take yourself out of that and you really like look at the world and what's going on, it's like, wow, what am I doing? Like, I had some time to think. So, and that was probably the best thing ever, honestly. COVID was the best thing that happened to me. Is that
Mhm.
crazy?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's interesting. What would you So for you it worked out, right? COVID broke out and you were able to have that time to reflect. What about people that don't get that opportunity and they're like working their normal jobs day to day? How would you suggest that they take some time to reflect on what they're doing to make sure it's the right thing for them?
I think you just have to get to that point where you're like, you either want to change and you put every ounce of effort into, all your spare time. This is what I want. This is, unless you got to get to that point. I don't know what brings you to that point, and COVID's rare. How does anybody get to that point where they want to change and do something for themselves and open up? I don't know. I don't know how they would do it. I had time to think, so that's how I did it. Honestly, if you have to go to work 40 hours a week and you come home, you got kids and you got this and you're just trying to put like food in your children's mouths and you don't have time to think about, opening up a business. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, some people hit rock bottom and they're like, I just hate this. I hate my life. I want to change. And you have to get to that point where you want to change, I think, and put every effort you have into it. Cause I mean, I was definitely burning the candle at both ends for sure. But you gotta have that willpower too.
Yeah, so can you talk a little bit more about that? You'd said kind of putting every ounce of what you have in your spare hours because you eventually did go back to work at the salon once things kind of started opening up, but before you had started your own studio. So, what did that look like for you working again at the salon, but then also trying to get all of this, whether it's researching or, buying the supplies for your new space? How did that look for you in that kind of transit period?
There was a lot of, like I said, I have a lot of really awesome clients and people who are smarter than I am, thank God, that I was able to pick their brains. And just going back to work was hard when you knew that you were going to be leaving and that you have, your heart is set on something else. So yeah, going into work every day was tough for me because it was. And then during COVID, too, you couldn't get building materials. So they would call me and be like, Sarah, it's going to be another month. It's going to be this. And I was just like I was so ready at that point to open up. And it was, everything happens for a reason though. But yeah, going into work and knowing that that was tough. That was really hard. And I think the girls that I work with could sense, she's changed. Her mind has changed. There was like a little clog in my head that clicked into place during COVID, and I was like, I've got to do this. I didn't have a choice in my mind. I didn't have a choice, so it was hard. But yeah, it was going to work, coming here, making sure that the drywall was getting put up, putting the floor. It was the sinks. Oh my gosh, they put the sinks in the wrong spot. I was like, I can't even fit between these sinks. You got to change that. And it was but I loved that I had something to look towards, so that kept me going. It was exciting. It wasn't
Yeah.
just the same day in, day out thing. It was, oh, I've got this business, and scary. It was scary. I mean, there was a lot of people that told me that I was nuts. They come in here, I was by myself in this big space. I'd be like, are you going to hire anyone? Are you just going to hang out here by, I'm like, I'm going to try. I'm going to try, and just that was hard to like get that out of your head. Some of my clients were like, yes, you're doing great. But some of them were like, yeah, Sarah, you lost your mind. It's COVID. Like what are you doing? So just know your vision, know that you have faith in yourself. You know, I don't know. That was scary. That was really scary.
Yeah. So you seem to have like a tenacity streak in you to be able to kind of put a lot of those negative your naysayers, kind of set them aside and just keep the vision. I like that. Can you talk to us? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of tears. I had some people who would definitely. I don't know whether, when I really back at it, I don't know whether they just kind of looked at me like I don't want to sound like I have an ego or something, but I think a lot of people would like to break out and do their own thing. And, but it's scary. So I think some of these people, they look at me like, okay, well, I would like to do that too, but to see you do that and, are you, I don't know, they question me a lot. So I go home sometimes, I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. I start crying. I'm like, who's ever going to work for me? I don't know. Like, am I going to be here by myself? Am I going to fail? You just got to trust in yourself. If you really believe what you're doing and you look at it as you have a vision for whatever it is, and you know that in your heart you can carry it out. You just got to believe in yourself. Like, there's no other way.
How do you maintain some of that belief when you're having those moments of, oh my gosh, what if I fail? What if I can't do this? How do you flip that around to keep going?
Um, Mindset. You got to train your minds. You got to train yourself to think, just trust yourself. It's willpower. Like, you know, people aren't in your shoes. They don't know what you're going through. They don't know where you've been. They don't know how hard you've tried to get to the point where you're at. You can't listen to them. You can't listen to anyone. Nobody knows what they're doing. No one. Nobody knows. Like, you just gotta go with it and go with your heart and hope you're gonna succeed. And if you fail at some things, so what? At least you're trying, right? You
Love
can't
it.
sit back and let the world go by.
Yeah, I
Great
totally
advice, Sarah.
agree. I would much rather fail at something knowing I at least tried than being like the majority of people who just have ideas that don't ever try them. You've obviously mentioned a few times now that you had naysayers and people that said you were crazy and all this stuff. Aside from that, when it comes to the actual business itself, what are some of the challenges that you faced opening up the business? It could be either stuff that you knew was going to be a challenge and how did you overcome it, or what are some of the unexpected obstacles that you got blindsided by?
Yeah, obstacles. I really I think maybe I didn't really have obstacles other than myself, just getting past that mindset. You, the only thing I would suggest is if you're serious, make sure you have a good accountant. Make sure you find people that know what they're doing, pay the extra money so that they can work on all this. I don't know anything about accounting or whatever. I sat down with my accountant that was funny. I sat down with him last month and he's like, all right, Sarah, you're a little too honest. We need to and I don't know anything about any of that, but I know that it's worth the money to pay somebody that knows what they're doing, because I see a lot of people messing up that way. I see people trying to do it themselves. And, if you're serious about it, I guess that would be an obstacle to find trustworthy professionals that know what they're doing that can help you out. What other obstacles? I don't really know. Just your own self, that's your only obstacle. You can make anything happen.
So let me ask you this. You had experience for 20 years working in someone else's salon before you opened your own. If somebody out there is wanting to do what you do and own their own hair salon or their own nail salon or their own spa, whatever it may be, do you think that it's important for them to work for someone else to learn for a bit? Or do you think that you could go directly into just opening it yourself?
Yes, work for somebody else, for somebody who has been doing it a long time, regardless of whether you take some of those old school things with you or not. I mean, you got to give them credit. Their doors have been open for a while. So if you can get a good mentor, that's the biggest thing,
Got it. I noticed something real quick, kind of changing subject a little bit here, but I noticed behind you, you have those looks like hair products, those white bottled hair products. Do you have any partnerships with any brands for hair products? And how did that develop?
So I'm actually struggling with that right now.
Okay.
I hope Leah watches this someday because I love her to death, but so there's a family owned business, and back to being the people, sorry, hey, Brooks got to work now. But there's a family owned business in town and I freaking love them. They make you feel so special. I am struggling with the fact that they're so good at their job that they've sold a lot of the salons in Erie the same products. So this product behind me is not from them. It was something that I saw actually while I was pouring through Pinterest on what's cool, what's new with hair salons, and then I saw these bottles on a lot of these bigger city salon shelves and I'm like, I got to try it. And that's what I did. I contacted the company, and partnerships, as far as that goes, if you buy into enough of the product and you sell enough of the product, then they will give you classes, free education and stuff like that. So there is a lot of perks that come with carrying a certain line. Yes.
So how did you reach out to that? Like, so if someone's listening that's in a similar position to you, like how did you establish that contact with that hair product line? Did you just like cold email them or cold call them, or what? How did that happen?
Yeah, well, with the salon industry, there's a lot of distributors, and so they're kind of fighting over the salons, and they're fighting over different territories. So I think they're based out of New Jersey, actually, because it's not something that we have a lot of around here. This Kevin Murphy line, which is what I wanted. I wanted to stand out. I wanted something different. So I reached out to actually Kevin Murphy, and then they put me in contact with a distributor that sells it. And then you have to go through, you got to give them your license number and all that stuff. And then you kind of buy into it. And then they do give you free education if you buy a certain amount, or free products, there's a lot of business type step things that these companies want you to do to sell their products. Me being as stubborn as I am, I'm like, I know what I'm doing. I don't need your business step-by-step thing, but they're really good about trying to, because they want you to succeed. They want you to sell their products. So, there's some perks with different companies. Yeah, so I hope that answers your question.
I love, that was the first time was coming into your salon that I experienced those products, and it definitely made a difference. There was a different impression. So I think you're onto something with that standing out. I kind of want to go back to the space. I wanted to ask you this earlier, but we kind of just started going in a different direction. When you were looking to get into the space before they started doing all the drywall and everything, what did you have to prove in order to get the lease to begin with, to be able to say, like, yeah, I can totally afford to be by myself in this space during the pandemic? What did you have to show them?
It was really bizarre. I think because it was COVID and they were having a hard time filling spaces, I think they were kind of just like, okay, you can have it. I didn't go through anything. I didn't go through any credit checks. I think you don't really have anything to show them when you're opening up a business. So what are they going to look for, other than you got to sign your life away and you're going to owe them a lot of money if you break the lease. But I didn't have to I just knew that the space location is really important. I love this area. The parking's great. I came from a spot where the parking really was terrible. And, that invest in your space. Like, you make sure that the location is good. That if I'm going to tell you anything, as far as a business goes, that is super important, because or else you're going to blend in with everybody else. And you got to, if you want to stand out, you got to pick the right space.
And so kind of building off of that, you have an awesome space for people, there's a lot of traffic in that area. So people driving by can kind of see that you're there. They walk into your space, your branding, just your aesthetic is gorgeous. How do you then market outside of just the physical location? Social media, traditional channels, do you do any of that stuff to kind of promote in the community?
We're social media. I mean, that's where it's at. You gotta post all the time, even though it's annoying. I have a girl she's my assistant, and I'm like, we got to make a TikTok. We got to do this. And I don't have the time to do that stuff. So, thank God that they, have some extra time and they're able to, but it's important. That's the where we're at in the world. You have to be on social media, even though sometimes I hate social media. I hate the way, it sometimes is negative. But as far as business goes, you have to post, you have to do, and you got to be consistent about it too. And there's there's so much that goes into that too. It's like certain times of day, people are going to look more, and it's, I'll leave it up to them.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I want to ask you about that. First of all, what type of content are you posting? And two, what has been most effective? Like, what times of the day have been most effective and things like that? Like, tell us a little bit more about what you're marketing and how and when.
At this point, it's whenever we have time to get something out there. But I would say this is how the world's changed too, is that I don't take pictures of every person that's sitting in my chair, but all the girls do. Every time they're done with a client, they're up front taking beautiful photos of this hair, and it's every single person. So, also when clients see they're on your social media page, that's makes them feel special too. It's like, oh, that's my hair, like they like that and they're going to return. But yeah, that's where we're at as far as, like, I grew up old school where it was you're handing out business cards wherever you go. This is your brand, your social media, you package it a certain way. You definitely want to be classy and, depending on what kind of clientele you want to attract. But yeah, it's mostly hair, some product. But yeah, at this point, whenever we can get a picture out, usually it's every day, we get a picture of something. And I try to showcase each stylist work, so people will look and they'll see a blonde hairdo and they'll look at the stylist and book with them. And it does work.
Good deal. Awesome. No, thanks. That's really, that's helpful. I think that's a really cool strategy to post all of your guests, and that makes them want to go look at it, which drives more traffic and so on and so forth. So, real quick, what advice would you have for anybody out there that's in a similar position where they're not maybe inspired by what they're currently doing and they want to open their own business? What are some pieces of advice that you might have for them?
Take the risk. Just freaking do it. Just do it. If you feel passionate about it, you can't fail. If you put that energy out there, put some thought into it, obviously, but like, take the risk. Why not? We don't get out of here alive, do we? No. What are you gonna do? What's gonna happen? Honestly, if this didn't work out, I knew my clients would follow me anywhere. I could work out of a closet and they would come and come to my, you know what I mean? It's like, if you feel passionate about it and it's something you want to do, and go all out. Don't do it half-ass. Go all out. It's going to be a lot of freaking work. It's going to be a lot of work. But if you really feel like you want to do it, take the risk. I mean, that's all I can say.
That's great. No, that's what we're looking for. That's really good.
So Sara, you'd mentioned kind of at the start of the conversation that you had some things that you just wanted to kind of get out and talk about that's makes you a little bit different. Did we sum some of those up, or do you have anything else you want to add?
I think the fact that if I could give these girls my voice now, where I'm at right now, all these girls that work here, I would, because sometimes they're a little shy, and a lot of people have a lot of anxiety when you're working with the public. It can be tough. People are brutal sometimes. So I sometimes want to just be like, there's a couple I want to run over and be like, you're like, let me help you, but you can't. You got to sit back and let them figure it out. But it's a people business. If you're looking at something like, I'm going to make lots of money, blah, 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 that's not the way to go about it. It's, I really, when I interviewed Lisa, it was funny. I told her, I was like, we're going to help these girls. We're going to help them. I'm sick of seeing these 20-year-olds crying when they work at a hair salon and they're mean to them, or, there's cattiness, or like, if you could build the culture, and if you can build a team that wants to help each other, and they'll all tell you, like, we are all back there laughing and encouraging each other. And it's just, if you can, build that culture up, that's most important. It's how you make the clients feel. Forget all the other crap. Let the accountants and the lawyers do all that other shit. That's not my deal,
So building a team and kind of a culture seems to be super important to contributing to your success. So, and you definitely feel that. I mean, we've been to your hair salon, and it's got a great vibe. It's beautiful. The people there have great energy. So I can definitely speak to that as well. You've done some good work there, Sara. One question that we do like to ask all of our guests on the show is, what does success mean to you?
Oh gosh. I think just what we've touched on. Just if you can watching, like I said, Paige, who started with me blindly, me and her, poor kid. How long was I here? I think I was here for about 4 months, just me and her every day. She'd show up to work, and watching her grow, watching these girls grow as individuals, finding their voices, finding that confidence. That's all that matters. I've got 2 kids too. I've got a 24-year-old and she'll be 21, and just watching them build that confidence and be able to face the world, and not have so much of that anxiety and fear, helping them if you can use your gifts as far as that goes, and that took me a long time to get to that point where I knew I could try to help them. And maybe having 20-year-olds as kids too, that showed me I could help them. But it's all about, that's what it's about. What else is there? There's, I have enough stuff. I don't need if you're looking at it like that, it's screw that. That's not what makes you feel good. That's not what fills your soul.
Yeah.
Helping people fills your soul. That's how you should look at it. So
Love it.
I'm a little
Sarah.
hippie dippy here.
That's great.
I can't help it. My mom was a hippie. I can't help it.
Hey, that's great though. No, I think people need to hear that message. So
Yeah, and we will we'll kind of put all the links and everything, in the description, but where can people find you real quick if you want to just give a shout out?
Oh yeah, this is Erie, PA, West End Hair Studio in the Village West Plaza. We have an Instagram page, Facebook page, all that stuff. So if you wanted to, and our website as well, which we're working on a new one. We're kind of making it a little bit more fancy. So that's a huge thing for me too, because I'm able to let's go for it. Keep investing back in yourself. And so thank you, Lainey and Rick, for helping me with my website. That's it.
Sara, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate the conversation, all the insight, and best of luck to you as you continue to, grow your success. And thank you again. Thanks for listening. If you found today's episode to be insightful, please make sure you give us a like if you're listening on YouTube, or rate us if you're listening on Spotify, Apple, or any of the other podcast platforms.
And to help us keep sharing these successful stories, please subscribe to the channel.